Hello and welcome to Joy News Prime with me, Samuel Kojo Brace. Coming up in this election outcome is about those who cast the vote and not about those who count or collate results. President Akufo-Addo says as he's accused of packing the Electoral Commission with known MPP faces after swearing in 3 new members of the commission.
For caution for all of us, by all of us, in calling into question the Constitution, which has provided the bedrock for the longest uninterrupted, stable period of free governance in our otherwise turbulent history.
NDC minority in Parliament readies itself for battle this week as 2 crucial businesses are set to be decided this week. It has declared none of them will vote for the president's nominees as it happened the other time. And also Ghana to experience water scarcity as human activities, especially galamsey around river bodies, is making water sources polluted and cannot be used for drinking and other purposes without treatment. Now, the 2024 general elections is some 21 months away, and the Electoral Commission has begun processes to ensure credible polls. Now, the body plans to lay a constitutional instrument to regulate the continuous registration of voters onto the register. But President Akufo-Addo is more committed in protecting the sanctity of the vote. Swearing in 3 new members of the Electoral Commission, the president said, under no circumstance should the elections be decided by counting and the collation of vote than by the voting that is cast on the day.
It is no secret that I have spent most of my adult life fighting for the establishment of democracy and human rights in this country. And I've always fought for and advocated for a credible electoral process in Ghana. In emphasizing the importance and credibility of elections, it must be pointed out that the count, the collation, the declaration of results cannot and should not be more important than the sacred God-given right of a citizen casting his or her ballot. I have said it before and I will repeat it. Elections are about those who cast the vote, not those who count, not those who supervise, not those who transmit, and not those who declare. The heart of the democratic process is giving effect to the choices made by those who cast the vote. The 3 persons I have sworn in a few moments ago as members of the Electoral Commission are persons I am confident will bring integrity, professionalism, and independence and fairness of mind to the discharge of their duties.
Dr. Peter Piahene, one of the members who were sworn in, speaking on behalf of his colleagues, promised that they will ensure neutrality.
Mr. President, we also accept this appointment in the symbolism of a fresh journey ahead of us, a journey to meet the high expectations of the various stakeholders, especially the over 32 million Ghanaians. This is not an appointment that one will take it lightly, especially looking at how important and sensitive the work of the Commission is. We are therefore aware of the massive responsibilities and tasks that come with it. We want to state that we are poised and more prepared to deliver and contribute to the development of our democracy, especially in this digital era. Our major source of motivation is also based on the high level of confidence that Mr. President and members of the Council of State have reposed in us. We will therefore bring our expertise and our background to support the work of the Commission so that Ghana's democracy will continue to be the first in the sub-region. We will be consultative and objectively take decisions that will benefit all Ghanaians. We will work with all stakeholders, including the legislature, the judiciary, the civil society, political parties, government agencies, the media, and the good people of Ghana to build a robust, free, fair, and transparent electoral system for Ghana. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, we wish to assure all Ghanaians that we will submit ourselves to the laws of the Republic of Ghana and that we will be guided by the various provisions on elections and their management as stated in the 1992 Constitution of Ghana.
Now, NDC MP for Boem constituency, Kofi Adams, has joined the criticisms of the newly appointed commissioners. Speaking to Joy News, Kofi Adams warned that whatever President Kufuor intends to achieve with this appointment will not be realized.
We must all be concerned. As journalists, you must be concerned. As religious leaders, we must be concerned. Civil society must be concerned that there are some institutions that we call them independent bodies. And right from the commencement of this very Fourth Republic, all presidents we have had have worked so hard to keep such institutions as much as possible away from partisanship. But this current president have decided to desecrate all these independent institutions, including the Electoral Commission, and have arranged to pack it with known faces, known activists of New Patriotic Party. Dr. Bosman was one of them, and we all saw after his appointment comments he made to suggest that the NDC was an existential threat to democracy. This is the first time we have heard a commissioner, for that matter, a deputy chair of Electoral Commission, make such a comment. This was so because of his partisan consideration. Lessons have not been learned from that. We are now still packing it more with more TESCOM members or patrons. This is not right. This is not appropriate. I'm not saying that maybe individually they may not have the requisite qualification, but their partisan association should bar them from occupying such sensitive position as commissioners. Some commissioners, even though it was their right to vote in the past, elected not to even vote, even though their political persuasion was really never known, and if they had voted, it would have been so difficult to even predict who they were voting for. In order to show the level of being fair to all, Dr. Kojo, for example, stayed away from voting in all elections that he is pretendent over. Today, we are not only appointing persons that people will question either their qualification, their understanding, but we are also appointing party apparatchiks.
So what do we know about these new members of the commission? My colleague Joseph Akable joins us live now on Zoom with some details. Joseph, what do we know so far on these new members of the commission?
So the first person, Dr. Apiahene, we know him as assistant during the now, he has a PhD in computer science specialization.
Apologies for the poor quality of our audio there. We'll go back to my colleague Akable soon. But for now, Dr. Aludu Sedu, who is a political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, joins us for a conversation on this development. Doc, I'm grateful that you've joined us here. Such appointments are often characterized with pushbacks premised on neutrality or political affiliation of the nominees. Are the concerns raised in this case legitimate? So Dr. Aludu Sedu is a political science lecturer with the University of Ghana. He'll be joining us on a conversation on this. Now, the thing is, the president has sworn into office 3 new members of the Electoral Commission, and that has brought about some reaction from the public. The NDC has joined in. The MP for Boem constituency, Kofi Adams, is promising that whatever the president intends to achieve with this appointment will not be realized, because the minority NDC will also ensure that they are up to task to ensure that they neutralize whatever the intents are. But we'll be going back to Joseph Akable, who has gathered more on these new members so we could understand the sort of members that we're dealing with, the members who've been sworn into the Electoral Commission. But still on that particular swearing in of the new members of the commission, the president was not in favor for calls for the revision or in some cases the abolition of the 1992 constitution. He said the calls are misplaced.
In this regard, despite concerns raised in some quarters about the effectiveness of the NCC in the discharge of its functions, with some going so far as advocating for its abolition, I am of a different opinion. I believe the NCC continues to be relevant and still has an important role to play in helping establish a culture of awareness in our country in which citizens are alive to their civic responsibilities and duties, especially at this time when irresponsible elements within the body politic are calling for the overthrow of the constitutional order. Further, the NCC needs also to be sensitive to the demands expressed in several quarters for amendments, wholesale or limited, to the Fourth Republican Constitution. Without prejudging the outcome of the national debate on this all-important matter, I can only say for now that there is need for caution for all of us, by all of us, in calling into question the Constitution which has provided the bedrock for the longest uninterrupted, stable period of free governance in our otherwise turbulent history. It may well be an area where the application of the classical maxim, festina lente, will be truly appropriate.
Now, the NDC caucus in Parliament is readying itself for a crucial week as Parliament intends to work on some important government businesses this week. Now, 3 key revenue bills which have not been worked on are set to be taken on Thursday, with President Akufo-Addo and Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta all saying that these bills are crucial to securing an IMF deal. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kojo Asante has more in this report.
These revenue bills are crucial to government securing an IMF bailout, but member of the Finance Committee, Richard Achampon, says the NDC have made their concerns on the bills known and will not be supported until they are factored in the reports.
But we have some reservations. The way we are looking at the economic environment that we find ourselves, the hardship that people are complaining about, inflation of 52%. So on top of all these, if you want to introduce additional taxes or increase the bandwidth, people are going to pay more, and it's going to affect the disposable income of the individual. So these are the matters we are looking at. Is it the right time to impose taxes on the people? But they are looking at the IMF deal so that they can rake in the 3 billion facility. But we can't eat your cake and so have it. So let's also think about the ordinary person on the street. If we impose this additional tax, the tax burden will be heavy on them.
The other crucial business in the House is President Akufo-Addo's ministerial appointments. The nominees were vetted more than a week ago, but due to the lack of consensus, they are yet to be approved. The NDC has directed its members to reject the nominees. The NDC MPs insist this will be carried through.
Well, the party has made it very clear. And I believe that as members of the NDC, members of Parliament, we have also learnt our lessons from previous occurrences. I know many Ghanaians and our rank and file expressed disquiet. Many of them were truly disappointed in us for what happened. So for us as members of Parliament, I would say this also gives us an opportunity to redeem ourselves. So that calls for redemption has presented itself.
Well, we have said over and over again that President Akufo-Addo should show an example by reducing his large government. So we are where we are. We haven't changed our position. We are saying that no, he's living too large. He should show by example. So
when it comes to the floor, Ghanaians and your supporters can expect that you will do as you've said, vote against these nominees.
Let me speak for myself. I'll do as I said.
Parliament has just about 2 weeks to go on break. There are some businesses that are high on the agenda of Parliament. The Electoral Commission, CI, the ministerial nominees, the appointments that have been made by the President to the Supreme Court, as well as some key revenue bills that are currently before the House. With just about 2 weeks to go, these bills are expected to come to the floor, and the NDC MPs are readying themselves for a fight. They are saying that as and when it is needed, they are going to oppose some of these measures and some of these businesses that government is seeking to put in place. It is a numbers game ultimately for some of the businesses. If the government side, the majority side, are able to get all their MPs on the floor of the House, then they will be able to get them through. If they are unable to do so, then the NDC MPs may be able to carry out their threat to reject them. But government side, the chief whips, as we've been made to learn, are now trying to get all their numbers on the floor of the House. On Thursday, the financial bills are expected to be taken and voted on, and the ministerial nominees may also come up any moment from now, and both sides are readying themselves for what will be a crucial battle on the floor of Parliament. Reporting for Joy News, Kwiku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
Now, today, the Education Minister, Dr. Yaosei Adichum, became a call center worker and a miracle worker. This is because at the Computerized School Selection and Placement Center, he addressed the concerns of parents and their wards. Now, that is story still to come here in the bulletin. But this story will be coming to you shortly. But let's go back to my colleague Joseph Akable, who is joining us with details on these 3 new members of the Electoral Commission. Joseph Akable, what do we know now?
So for Dr. Apiahene, we know that he is a professor, some professor with over 10 years experience in the computer science industry, and he is a lecturer at the University of Energy and Natural Resources. We know that he's a patron of TESCON at that particular university as well. There was a point in time when the president was about to nominate the ministers, the regional ministers, and his name came up as someone who was being tipped or being looked at as the possible Bono regional minister. And so that is what we know about him. For Reverend Ekuo Ofori-Boateng, actually, he is the Director of Program for the Anglican Diocese of Accra. He's a member of the United States Trade Advisory Committee on Africa and served on the 2020 Eminent Advisory Committee of the Electoral Commission of Ghana. He's also a co-founder of a faith-based foundation which has a vision to see a world where underprivileged youth have an opportunity to serve and pursue their passion. Then the final member that was nominated is Salim Ahmed Tijani. He is a conservationist, a data analyst, and environmental consultant who attended the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. And these 3 individuals join one other member and the 3 other members to make the 7-member commission as provided for under Article 43 of the 1992 Constitution.
All right, grateful to you. That's my colleague Joseph Akable with details on the 3 new members of the Electoral Commission. But today, Ghana's Education Minister, Dr. Yaosei Adichum, became a call center agent and a miracle worker because at the School Selection and Placement Center, he addressed concerns of parent and ward. Now, one of these incidents played out like a testimony session in church. Watch this.
A parent who is on the line. If there's none, until some come, there are some other things. There's somebody on your line? No? Okay. If some calls come online, I'll be happy to pick the call and speak with some parents. We're also going to call a few parents to find out how their experience getting their children into school has been. So that will also be taken care of. I just want the general public to know that we are fiercely determined to bring about change in the education space. And that is what has brought us to this event today, that we dialogue with the public, get them to understand the processes, give them an update as to where we are, and we have an able group of staff who are going to do that. We have the Director of Instruction from Ghana Education Service here. Mr. Prince is here to help us. We also have Mr. Sasu, who is also going to be joining. And then we have the National Coordinator for Free Senior High School, Mr. Dakwa, is also here. Oh, there's a parent. Yeah, let me take the call. I'm calling from the Ota region, and we are speaking with the Minister for Education this morning.
I'm blessed, honorable.
You are blessed. I'm also blessed speaking with you. What issue do you have, sir?
Unfortunately, she was placed in Odogono as a day student.
Oh, you are from the Volta region. What town in the Volta region, please? Are you at home and your child has been placed at Odogono as a day student?
Yes, please.
So obviously you need a boarding status, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, can you give me your child's name, please?
010.
Oh, you give me the index number. 010
36
36
16 044.
044. And can I repeat it for you, please?
Yes.
010 36 16 044. My staff will get back to you. As soon as they do it for me, I'll love to call you back and speak with you. But thank you so much for calling the call center of the Ministry of Education, where the minister responded to your call. Thank you so much. I'm glad to inform you that we'll resolve the issue and your child can go to school immediately. Thank you so much. You want Elijah to speak with the minister?
Hello?
Yes.
Now, the Ghana Education Service says it has resolved 80% of the challenges facing the school selection, computerized school selection and placement system. The CSSPS was designed to simplify and streamline school placement process. Has been, several setbacks, or has seen several setbacks early this year. But the director in charge of school and instruction, Mark Sasu, says the challenges have been salvaged.
Out of this 917 schools, the total vacancies that were declared were 705,327. And the total number of candidates that were presented is 547,329. So if all this 547,000 even goes to the school, enrolled in the school, we have some spaces left. So we have about 188,782. So looking at these spaces that are left, no student should complain that, or no school should complain that they are overcrowded, because we have 188. 1 month that we have engaged in the call center, we have received more than 300 and something thousand calls. And as a result, we have been able to resolve % of the challenges that we experienced. The challenges were those who want to change from day to boarding. Those who want to convert from from the grammar schools to the TVET schools. Those who just they are not interested in the school that they were given, so they want to change the schools.
Now, Executive Director for the Africa Education Watch, Kofi Asare, thinks the minister must be worried that weeks after schools reopen, some children are still going through challenges. He joins us via Zoom now for a conversation on this development. I'm grateful to you for joining us. Why do you say the minister must be worried?
Well, good evening, and good evening to your cherished audience. School reopened close to a month ago, and per the directive of the GNS, classes started about 3 weeks ago. So I see the minister should be worried that 3 weeks after school classes began, there are still students at home engaging with placement solution centers to get schools. And that is why I said that he must be worried that there are still people at home. I am also worried because I know there are some children who are home because they are not able to finance the cost of their prospectus. Yesterday, I was having a discussion with a boy who was placed in a school called Mozano School of Music Senior High School in Gumwa, Mozano. And he's still home because he hasn't got 3,000 cedis to finance his prospectus. And there are so many other of such issues. So yes, I think the minister have to be worried that at this point there are still people who are calling placement centers to follow up on their placement because others have been through classes for 3 weeks, with other schools even having their first PTA, precisely their first PTA just over the weekend. So he might be worried. Okay. I also think that it is a good thing that the minister is following up on the work of the solution centers to ensure that the right thing is being done, except for the fact that we are at the tail end of the process when there was pressure, in the first 2 weeks after the school placement was announced. That was when I thought, such visits were needed. But who knows? The minister may have various ways of working to have an eye there and, by proxy, supervise how it goes on there. And he determines when to personally go there and then have a look at. So I can't begrudge him. But on the lighter side, yes, when you said that he did a miracle, I just asked I was just wondering because indeed it was a miracle, not because of the coincidence, not because of the sheer coincidence, but because of the fact that, to the best of my knowledge, Odogono Senior High School is located in Greater Accra region. And if the Odogono Senior High School is the one the caller referred to, and that is located about 160 kilometers from home, the computer does not allow you to even select a day school which is more than 16 kilometers from your residence. So I'm still wondering, it is virtually impossible for anyone to select Odogono Senior High School in Accra when they are living in Ho. It is not possible. Okay.
Now you heard the director explaining that since this system was implemented, this is the first time a Minister of Education is visiting them. So I guess in your speech, you also agree that this must be sustained, where we should have ministers attending to these centers at some point in time, isn't it?
I think we must situate this within the broader context of transparency and accountability. The minister, yes, as I indicated in our release after the brouhaha surrounding the 2022 placement and the reports, we indicated that the minister needn't participate directly in placing students, by having access to category A+ passwords. Those are administrative functions that the minister designates, but supervises. So the minister, as part of his supervision, decides to directly visit them unannounced. I think it's a good thing that you must encourage. But let me indicate that within the broader context of transparency, the minister should be interested in ensuring that school placement data is made available to the public for scrutiny. You are aware that we actually had to drag the Ministry of Education to the Right Information Commission for failing to give us school placement data for just the 30% public school allocations to category A schools. Even though the Right Information Commission has fined the ministry 50,000 Ghana cedis and ordered same to release the 2022 placement data to us, the ministry has still refused. If the minister is so minded about transparency and letting the public know how their work, is carried out, which is great, the minister should be concerned about releasing school placement data for scrutiny, because that is even a higher mark of transparency than resisting every attempt by the Right Information Commission to release that information to us. So yes, I think the visit is good, but I think
it must be placed in context. Well,
exactly.
I mean, like you stated, it's getting to a month. Some children are still home; they've not been able to place themselves. What must we do to ensure that the system works, according to how it was designed to perform?
Again, about the minister's concern. That's why I initially said that the minister must be very much concerned about why, in spite of reopening, 3 weeks into reopening, 3 weeks into their commencement of academic activity, there are still students home, with some parents placing calls to call centers. The issue is this: the biggest impediment now for most of those who haven't enrolled yet is the high cost of school prospectus. That we are doing a comprehensive analysis of school prospectus, and we will soon come out to the report. But I can tell you that the school prospectus are ranging from 3,000 to 7,000. Okay, and a parent who cannot afford 2,000 cedis, which is almost how much government is paying for free senior high school to be called free. Okay, if a parent cannot afford 2,000, how can they afford 6,000 and 7,000? So I agree with the president when he was launching the free senior high school program at WAS that the main aim of the policy is to remove financial access barriers to secondary education by the poor.
Okay.
These access barriers are actually faced by the poorest of the poor, and he aimed to remove those access barriers. And I agree with the president in 2017 when he launched the policy at West Africa Secondary School. But now, we have an even bigger financial barrier, where even though government is paying about 2,000 Ghana cedis a whole year for free senior high school to make secondary education free, and if you like, remove the financial access barrier the president said, we are having schools imposing prospectus as much as 3 times higher than the financial access barrier that His Excellency the President is removing through the free senior school policy. So did we go or did we come, as someone put it? And that's why I believe that we must have a critical look at existing financial barriers to access free senior high school, especially by the poorest. So I'll be happy if the minister takes a much more closer look at the composition of school prospectus and the extent to which those school prospectus have high potential to deny the poorest access to free senior high school, especially the students who I spoke about in Goma Mozano, who still haven't been able to enroll because he hasn't got 3,000 cedis to find out the cost of his fee.
Grateful to you, Mr. Asare, for joining us here. He is Executive Director for the Africa Education Watch. We'll take a break here. We'll be back with more news. Stay with us. Welcome back from the break. Now, the proportion of people living in water scarcity is growing. Now, that's the latest finding by the CSIR's Water Research Institute. According to the state agency, human activities around water bodies, especially Galamsey, is making water sources polluted and cannot be used for drinking and other purposes without treatment. Already some international organizations, including UNICEF, say over 50% of the population cannot access safely treated water. Ahead of the World Water Day, stakeholders are calling for more action to deal with the emerging issues. There is more in this report.
1 in 4 people around the world lack safely managed drinking water. That's according to the World Health Organization and UNICEF in its Global Water Sanitation and Hygiene Monitoring Report. The global bodies indicate that although Ghana has done well in water, with 88% people accessing basic service, about 50% of the population have a challenge accessing safely managed water.
Water is the water is the lifeblood of our world. From health and nutrition to education and infrastructure, water is vital to every aspect of human survival. Every aspect of human survival and well-being and the economic development and prosperity of every society, every nation. However, this fundamental asset, this fundamental element is not available for many. According to WHO UNICEF report, close to 2 billion people around the world are not accessing safely managed water. 44% of wastewater we generate goes to nature without treated. 44% of the wastewater we generate goes to nature without treated. And then the impact it has on public health and then our environment is unaccountable. In short, the world is far behind in achieving SDG Goal 6 by 2030.
Over the next few days, experts and stakeholders are converging in New York to hold high-level discussions on advancing the cause of improving on the quality of water around the world and to build a global force for renewed commitment for meeting the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Already, the Water Research Institute says its indicators point to the fact that Ghana is water-stressed and the proportion of people living in water scarcity and stress areas is growing. Dr. Anthony Kakari is Deputy Director at the Institute.
Ghana is water-stressed and the proportion of people living in water scarcity and stress areas is growing. If you saw the projection to 2030, about 40 and over people are going to live in water scarce area, and this is serious. Then with the increase in the human activities around our rivers, especially the Galamsey, because it's a dangerous thing that is killing us. Now water sources are becoming polluted and cannot be used for drinking and other purposes without treatment. And if you are treating it, the cost is so high. And we don't even know whether we can remove all the pollutants before we drink them. We are not too sure sometimes. Yeah. So quality of our water bodies are declining, and if nothing is done by stakeholders, we will have to ration the use of water in the near future. So we have to be careful. Though Ghana has we have made some strides establishing all the things. I told you that the systems are there. Thanks to UNICEF, thanks to WHO, thanks to the UN agencies. They have done tremendously wonderful things, but we need to move and press and be effective in what we have done. So water management system for planning, developing, and managing water sources are critical for reforming the socio-economic, reforming the sector, and ensuring water security for all. So
it is evident from the report that the quality of water is declining, and if nothing is done by stakeholders, the country will be forced to ration the use of water in the near future. The document adds that future water scarcity in Ghana will be driven by population, urbanization, migration, and economic growth, but also by
Now, the campaign team of John Mahama has given a strong warning to the Electoral Commission ahead of the 2024 general elections. It says no level of compromise will be tolerated. According to Professor Joshua Alabi, who filed the nomination forms on behalf of the former president, the NDC has won the election in advance with Mahama as a candidate. He has therefore assured the supporters of a robust election collation system to secure this victory if Mahama is elected flag bearer. Let's more in this report.
Joshua Alabi, in his address to party faithful, mentioned that their main target ahead of the 2024 elections is to ensure that the coalition system of the party is strengthened. And by doing so, the elections and victory will be secured for the NDC in the upcoming election.
We are very confident by about 2 a.m. that day, NDC will tell you the results. We are working hard behind the scenes to make sure that our coalition system is very robust. And come that day, don't be surprised if by 12 midnight or 1 a.m. you see us on television telling you to go out and jubilate. We are not prepared to cheat any party. And the same vein, we are not ready for any party to cheat us. We are also sending a strong signal to the East that the essence of multi-party democracy is to give the people the best. In a situation where you portray as if you are giving an advantage to a particular party, then we'll get the type of performance you have to do. When the party believes that, or a candidate believes that he has the referee in the pocket, then he will just give the people anything. And that's what we have today. So the Electoral Commission has a role to play in ensuring that we move from this bad economic situation to a more stable economic situation. And that is to give a fair playing field to all parties. We are sure that when it is very fair, NDC will win hands down.
We are still left with two more contestants to come and file their nominations. The former mayor for Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, Mr. Kojo, and former finance minister, Dr. Kwabena Dufo, are the rest left to come and file their nominations. So after this filing of the nomination, the party will decide when the vetting will take place, and after that, the main elections will come off on the 30th of May 2023. Reporting for Joy News from the head office of the NDC in Accra, Samuel Mbura.
As you're watching Joy News Prime, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back with Showbiz. Stay with us. All right, so welcome to the Showbiz segment of the bulletin, and the queen of the thing, Becky Beggs, looking so dashy is here. Hi, Becky.
Hello to you, Grace. How you doing?
I'm well. Seeing you is enough for me to be happy.
Oh, thank you. Today is World Poetry Day, and so I'm going to begin with a poem. Actually, one of my favorite poems. Is written by Marianne Williamson.
Okay.
This particular poem, back in 2003, my administrator at the time, Joseph Jamisi, he insisted that we learn this particular poem, but I only got to understand really what the poem is about. Just, 2 months ago.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense, yeah.
So it's my deepest fear, or our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate, our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightening us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, fabulous, gorgeous, talented? Actually, who are you not to be? You're playing small, does not serve the world. So that's not the end of it. I mean, obviously, just go and read about it. But
I have a lot of favorites, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do one for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we do that after we pick?
No problem.
So
I mean, for you, I have all the patience.
Of course, I had a conversation with some of our colleagues here at the multimedia group, and they've been sharing with us exactly what poem they remember from back in the days.
That poetry is more like music without melody. Because it captures everything about life. We express ourselves through that. We actually propose through poetry. We can address the world's issues through poetry. So it's very beautiful, and I'm happy to be here on this day. You want me to mention my favorite?
Of course.
Okay, so I see the moon and the moon sees me. God bless the moon and God bless me.
If we want to entertain a toddler or something, and I'm sure most of you know the animated, dramatic performances that parents put on for their kids. A lion has a tail. It has a big head, and that's the part I enjoy the most.
The one that I can really remember is Peter Papa. Peter Papa picked a pair of pickled pepper. A pair of pickled pepper Peter Papa picked. If Peter Papa picked a pair of pickled pepper, where is the pair of pickled pepper Peter Papa picked?
Ambassadors of poverty with their heads abroad, their anus at home, they are the corrupt masters of the economy, something of that sort. So it just speaks to social issues and how politicians, do things that goes to the detriment of the nations when they are supposed to be doing stuff that would help the countries they are serving. So yeah, it's one of my favorite poems.
One of the poems that readily comes to mind was a poem written by W.B. Yeats, The Second Coming. Do you remember that one? Yeah, The Second Coming. And I think everybody remembers Things Fall Apart. Right. Yeah, turning and turning in the widening gar. Yeah, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart. The center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. And yeah.
I think mine will be William Ernest Henley's poem, Invictus. Yeah, it's quite long, but I think the very first chapter or the very first verse, which is, I think is out of the 9 that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole. I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul.
Fox, 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 go into the box. No, no, no. Why? Because I'm too big.
Because I am too big. Brace, go ahead.
Now, oh thou sweet Becky, the favorite of many watchers. Thou look beautiful in the eyes of many, not just with a pretty face, but with a beautiful heart. Oh Becky, thou shalt not stop smiling, for your smiles melt hearts of many men.
I'm blushing. Look at me. Thank you so much for
You're welcome,
that.
my darling.
So for those of you who don't know, today is World Poetry Day. You can go ahead and create a poem for your loved ones or your colleagues, or